Let's move on now to our third main topic today. Chris, what is our third main topic today?
This is from Patrick Brown. A main conversation in the Hollywood industry is the downfall of Paramount, who since 2012 has placed large amounts among the studio. Even this year, they have failed to get a film to the $100 million mark at the domestic box office, something that smaller studios like Lionsgate and STX Entertainment have managed to achieve. So how much pressure is there for Gemini Man and Terminator Dark Fate to succeed, especially considering these films have to make a lot of money just to break even, much less turn a profit?
It is a big amount of pressure, as a matter of fact. There is, and it's something that people aren't talking about today. You know, last year, the conversation about Paramount came up and talked about, it's like, they're struggling a bit, look, they're in trouble. And at the time, I was like, it's not that big of a deal. This is a company that's been around for a century. They have up years, they have down years. It's not a big deal. But as we stretch more and more and further into this rut, it's becoming more and more concerning, and more eyebrows have to be raised. If we just look at, say, the last 2 years, 2018, 2019, okay? Follow this. Annihilation made $43 million. Remember, we're talking worldwide numbers, or roughly worldwide numbers. Sherlock Gnome, around 80 or 90. Quiet Place did well for them. Quiet Place did well, made around $340, $350 million, something like that. Book Club made south of $100 million. Action Point made around $5. Mission Impossible Fallout was a big hit. But then Nobody's Fool. Overlord, which should have been big. I liked Overlord. I thought that movie deserved better. Made south of $50 million. Instant Family was a surprise little hit. Good on them. Bumblebee, it was a very expensive film, but it ended up making money. What Men Want, Wonder Park, Pet Sematary, Crawl, which I liked very much, by the way. Dora and the Lost City. These are all films that maybe at best broke even. Came close. That's not the type of track. Now, look, not every studio needs to be Disney where every film coming out makes $1 billion. You don't need to do that to be big and successful. You don't need that at all. But you need a better record than what Paramount has been cranking out the last 2 years. They need more than 2 hits. When you're putting out a dozen movies, you need more than 2 hits. That brings us back to the question then about how much pressure does this put on films like Gemini Man and Terminator, not just because they're their next 2 films up to bat, but these are expensive films. These are expensive movies that they've gone all in on. They're doing a lot with their marketing. They need, Rob, I don't think it's an understatement to say they need at least one of these things to be a hit. And I don't know if either of them will be at this point. How do you see this whole thing?
Well, you had Jim Giannopoulos come over and take over Paramount. So he's sort of still in the latter stages of his building the studio phase, building it back up. They lost a Chinese financing partner. They still have David Ellison at Skydance, who's been co-financing, whether it's the Star Trek movies, whether it's the Mission Impossible movies, and now Terminator Dark Fate. He's Larry Ellison's Oracle, Larry Ellison's son, who has a large amount of money, who's basically been propping up the studio single-handedly for the last couple of years. But I think Paramount's real problem is they have an identity crisis. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. And I think you're absolutely right. I think Terminator Dark Fate is they need it to succeed. Gemini Man is an original film from an A-list, award-winning Hollywood filmmaker, and Ong Lee, pushing the boundaries of technology. If it hits, it could hit in a big way for Paramount. And Paramount does have next year, John, Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that, Paramount, they used to be a powerhouse studio. They would release the Jack Ryan movies, whether it was Hunt for Red October and Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger. They had like adult thrillers that they would make, and they really need to figure out what their sweet spot is. The Transformers movies are sort of in flux as far as and they don't own those 100%. Those are not just Paramount things. They need to come up with stuff that's theirs. Paramount needs to come up with things. Even the Terminator franchise started somewhere else. It's not like Paramount's bringing back the Terminator franchise. No, that's a franchise that's been passed around since the mid '80s. So they really need to figure out who they are and what they're doing. But Dark Fate and Gemini Man are big. I want Paramount to succeed. I want these movies to hit worldwide, globally, and let's see Paramount get resurrected. And I think Jim Giannopoulos is a guy to do it. And I'd love to see Paramount in 5 years be a powerhouse studio like it used to be in the 80s and 90s.
They are one of the most iconic studios in the business. And you know what's funny is that, you know, everybody always hates on certain studios. It's always cool at certain times to hate on a certain studio. You know, a lot of people like to hate on Disney. Recently, people like to hate on Sony. People like to hate on Warner. No one's ever hated on Paramount. Paramount's just always like the nice guy over there. Like, Paramount's just there. And look, I'm not saying that if Terminator and Gemini Man flop, then, oh, within 3 months, we're going to hear about Paramount either shutting down or being up for sale, and Disney comes in. Well, Disney doesn't have the money to buy them right now, or being up for sale for somebody else. I'm not saying that necessarily, but everybody at Paramount is sweating if these two films don't hit. And I think at least one of them won't. I don't think Terminator is going to be a hit. And that puts even more weight on Gemini. But like you said, they've got a big tentpole film coming next year in Top Gun, which I'm thinking is going to be bigger than I thought it would be, because I thought it was far too late for a Top Gun movie, so maybe that could pull them out. So I don't think game over, but they really do need these films to do at least well. They can't take two big flops in a row right now, can they? No,
and the Viacom merger is happening, so things like the Star Trek franchise, the movies and the TV can be coordinated. I mean, it's too bad, because I think the state of the Star Trek franchise is sort of, maybe Picard will be a hit, but if they could figure out a way to make Star Trek movies economically the way they used to, maybe they could do something with the Star Trek franchise. If they're going to do a new Beverly Hills Cop movie, I mean, who knows? But they've really got to come up with some new stuff, some good stuff that audiences of today are waiting for. Even Top Gun, I mean, dude, 33 years or 34 years since the first Top Gun movie.
Or start putting out a new Mission Impossible every year.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Concurrently. Smart move.
Yeah, it was. Very smart move. Question is, guys, what do you think about this? Do you think Paramount's in hot water? Do you think there is a lot of pressure on these two movies to do well? Or are you thinking, guys, you're overthinking this? This is a company that has stood for a century. They can take a couple more bumps. What do you think? Jump down in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that.